Level 1. The Lookout. You're 14 when you first realize how little your life is worth to the world around you. School stopped making sense a long time ago. Your teachers stopped asking why you didn't show up. Your neighbors stopped asking what you wanted to be when you grew up. Everyone already knew the answer. Nothing. You're sitting outside a small convenience store at the edge of your neighborhood, the kind of place where the paint peels off the walls and the security camera hasn't worked in years. The plastic chair under you is cracked, one leg shorter than the others. Every time you shift your weight, it tilts slightly, forcing you to balance. In your hand is a phone that isn't yours. It doesn't have games, it doesn't have contacts, just one open message thread. You keep checking it, waiting. You don't know exactly why they picked you. Maybe because you were always outside, maybe because you never talked too much, maybe because you looked like someone who needed money more than answers. The sun hangs low, baking the pavement. Sweat runs down your back. Cars pass slowly, their tires crunching over loose gravel. Most of them are normal. Families, workers, people with somewhere to be. Then one vehicle appears that doesn't belong. It moves slower than the others. Dark windows, no music. Your stomach tightens. You stare at the phone. Your instructions were simple. If something feels wrong, send a message. But nothing looks wrong, and everything does. You hesitate too long. The vehicle disappears around the corner. Seconds later, your phone vibrates violently in your hand. A message, just one word. Why? Your chest tightens. Another message appears. Pay attention. You don't know who sent it. You don't ask. That night, a man approaches you in the dark. His boots crunch against the dirt. He stops in front of you and hands you an envelope. He doesn't smile. He doesn't threaten you. He just stares. You open it later in your room. Inside is more money than you've ever held in your life. Your hands shake, not from excitement, from understanding. You weren't being given an opportunity. You were being given a responsibility, and responsibilities come with consequences. Level 2. The driver. You're 16 when they stop testing you. Now they use you. The first time they hand you keys, your heart pounds so hard you're afraid they can hear it. The car waits in an empty lot behind a warehouse. It's old, dust covering the windows. The engine is already running. You glance around, no one is watching. Except they are. They always are. You slide into the driver's seat. The leather is cracked and hot. Your hands grip the steering wheel. You tell yourself this is just driving. People drive every day. But this isn't normal driving. You follow the route they gave you, street after street, turn after turn. Every second feels heavier than the last. When you stop at a red light, you check your mirrors. A police car pulls up behind you. Your throat closes. Your fingers tighten. You stop breathing. Seconds pass. They feel like hours. The light turns green. The police car doesn't follow you. You drive. You don't look back. When you arrive, someone opens your door before you even turn off the engine. They take the car. They hand you cash. They don't say thank you. They don't say anything. You walk home alone. That night, you stare at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Not because you're afraid, because you know you'll do it again. And next time, it will feel easier. Level 3. The Collector. You're 19 when they give you your first real authority. Not over objects, over people. You walk into a restaurant during the middle of the afternoon. The smell of food fills the air. Families sit at tables, laughing, talking, living lives that have nothing to do with yours. The owner sees you immediately. His face changes. He excuses himself from a conversation and walks toward you, forcing a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He already knows why you're here. He disappears into the back room. You wait. No one speaks to you. No one looks at you. They pretend you don't exist, but they feel you. He returns holding an envelope. His hands tremble slightly as he gives it to you. You take it. You don't open it. You don't need to. You leave. Outside, the sunlight feels colder. This becomes your routine. Day after day, door after door, envelope after envelope. The money grows. So does the distance between you and who you used to be. One day, someone refuses. He tells you he can't pay. He tells you he needs more time. You listen quietly. You nod. You leave. But the next time you return, everything is different. Because now you understand the rules, and so does he. After that, no one refuses again. But something inside you has changed. You're no longer the boy sitting in the plastic chair. You're something else now. Something people fear. And fear is a kind of power, but it's also a kind of prison. Because once people fear you, you can never go back to being normal. Level 4. The cell leader. You're 23 when they stop introducing you as someone who works for them. Now they introduce you as someone who represents them. It happens quietly, no ceremony, no announcement, just more responsibility, more eyes watching you, more people waiting for your decisions. You don't collect envelopes anymore. Others do that for you. Now you collect loyalty. You sit inside a small house on the edge of the city. The windows are covered. The air smells like sweat and cigarette smoke. Around you, 8 men wait. They don't speak unless you speak first. That still feels strange. Not long ago, you were the one waiting for instructions. Now you give them. One of them explains a problem. A business owner has been late twice. He asks what you want to do. Not what should be done. What you want. You pause. Not because you don't know. Because you understand what the answer means. Your words don't just solve problems anymore. They create consequences. You give the order. Your voice sounds calm. You pretend your stomach isn't twisting. They leave. You sit there alone afterward, staring at the table. You realize something. Power doesn't feel like strength. It feels like weight. And it never gets lighter. That night you drive home in silence. The streets feel different now. Smaller. Narrower. You notice things you didn't notice before. A car parked too long. A person standing too still. You check your mirrors constantly. Because now you're not just part of something. You're visible inside it. And visible things can be removed. Sleep becomes harder. You wake up at every sound. Every vibration of your phone. Every passing engine. Because every decision you make builds something. And destroys something else. Level 5, the regional operator. You're 27 when they trust you with territory. Not a street, not a neighborhood, a region. The first time you see the map, it doesn't look real. Lines drawn across places where people live normal lives. Places where children go to school. Places where families eat dinner together. But to you, they aren't places anymore. They're responsibilities. You spend your days inside rooms with no windows, phones on tables, voices speaking in low tones. Everything feels temporary, because it is. Nothing here belongs to you. It just passes through you. Money, information, people. You move between safe locations constantly. Never the same place twice in a row. Never the same routine. You stop telling your family where you live. Not to protect yourself. To protect them. You see them less. You miss birthdays, holidays, moments you used to think would always be there. You tell yourself it's necessary. You tell yourself it's temporary. But deep down, you know it isn't. Because there is no finish line. Only distance from where you started. The money grows faster than you can spend it. Cars, clothes, properties. Things that once felt impossible now feel normal. But something else grows too. Silence. You stop trusting conversations. You start listening for hidden meanings. Every smile could hide resentment. Every agreement could hide betrayal. One night your phone rings at 3:12 a.m. No greeting, just information. Someone under you made a mistake, a serious one. You sit in the dark after the call ends, staring at nothing, knowing that by morning you'll have to decide what happens next, and whatever you decide, it won't make anything better, only quieter. Level 6. The Plaza Boss. You're 33 when you realize you've become someone you can't recognize anymore. You don't move freely. You don't speak freely. You don't live freely. Everything is planned. Everything is controlled. Everything is watched. You live inside walls now, high ones, strong ones, not to keep people out, to keep yourself in. Your days are filled with decisions that never feel finished, problems that never fully disappear, people who never fully trust you, because you don't fully trust them. You eat meals surrounded by silence, not because no one is there, because no one speaks honestly. They tell you what you need to hear, not what you need to know. You understand why. Fear builds distance, and distance builds isolation. You stop going outside, not because you can't, because it's easier not to. The world becomes something you observe, not something you belong to. You hear stories about yourself, stories that sound like they're about someone else, someone powerful, someone untouchable, someone dangerous. You know the truth. That person doesn't exist. Because every night, when you close your eyes, you remember the plastic chair, the broken phone, the empty street. You remember how simple everything used to feel before every choice became permanent, before every step forward became a step away from who you were. You realize something that no one tells you when you start. There is no top. There is no finish. Only a point where you've gone too far to turn around. And by the time you understand that, it's already too late. Level 7. The Cartel leader. You're 39 when you realize there is nowhere left to go. Not forward, not backward, not anywhere. People think reaching the top feels like victory. They're wrong. It feels like disappearance. Your name still exists. Your influence still exists. Your orders still move through cities and across borders. But you don't exist anymore. Not as a person, as a shadow. You wake up in different rooms every few nights. Sometimes it's a mountain house where the wind never stops howling. Sometimes it's a concrete building where the windows are sealed shut. Sometimes it's a place so temporary you don't even learn the layout before you leave again. You don't choose where you go. Other people choose for you, people who claim they protect you. But protection and imprisonment start to feel the same. You don't attend family gatherings anymore. You don't walk in public. You don't sit in restaurants. You don't stand near windows. You don't answer unknown numbers. You don't trust familiar ones either. You eat meals that someone else prepared, wondering if today is the day they decided to stop being loyal. You sleep in rooms that someone else checked, wondering if they missed something. Every sound becomes a message. Every silence becomes a warning. You start watching people the way they used to watch you, looking for hesitation, looking for changes, looking for signs, because signs are the only warning you get. Your phone rings constantly, updates, problems, requests, threats disguised as information. Everyone needs something, money, decisions, permission. You give it, because that's your role now, not to live, to maintain, to preserve something that stopped belonging to you a long time ago. At night, when everything goes quiet, your mind doesn't. It replays everything. The first chair, the first drive, the first envelope, the first time you realized you couldn't stop. You try to remember what it felt like to be normal, but the memory doesn't feel real anymore. It feels like it happened to someone else, someone who had choices. You don't have choices. You have survival, and survival is not the same thing as living. You understand something now. The higher you climbed, the smaller your world became, until eventually there was no world left at all, only hiding, only waiting, only knowing it ends one way. You just don't know when. Level 8, the capture. It doesn't happen the way you imagined. There's no warning, no dramatic moment, no final stand. Just the end. It starts like any other morning. You wake up, you breathe, you exist. And then suddenly, everything changes. Voices, movement, confusion. You don't run, you don't fight. Because deep down you already knew this day would come. It was never a question of if, only when. The world outside disappears faster than you thought possible. Doors close. Locks replace freedom. Silence replaces control. For the first time in decades, no one asks you for permission, no one waits for your decisions, no one fears your name. Because your name doesn't matter here. You sit alone with something you haven't felt in years, time, endless, unmoving, unforgiving. You think about everything you built, everything you controlled, everything you sacrificed, and how none of it followed you here. Power stayed outside, money stayed outside, influence stayed outside. All that came with you was memory, and memory can't open doors. You realize something as the days blur together. The world didn't stop when you disappeared. It kept moving, like you were never there, like you never mattered. And in the end, maybe you didn't. Level 9, the replacement far away from where you sit now. Another boy waits. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't know your story. He doesn't know how it ends. He sits on a broken plastic chair outside a small store, holding a phone that isn't his, watching a road that leads nowhere, waiting for a message that will change everything. He thinks he's being given a chance. He doesn't understand. He's being given a path, the same path you walked, the same path you believed you controlled, the same path that slowly erased you. He will make the same decisions. He will believe the same lies. He will tell himself he's different, smarter, stronger, more careful. He isn't, because this was never about the person. It was about the position. And positions don't care who fills them. They only care that someone does. The system continues. The money moves. The silence spreads. And somewhere, life goes on without you, like it always would, like it always will. There was never a way out, only the moment you stepped in, and the moment you disappeared.